Goes up, down.
You're quite
down.
fluent.
Yeah. We're going to go ahead and start the meeting. Thank you. Please pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thanks, everybody, and welcome. We'll start off this evening with public comment. We got any public comment? Mr. Bill Hittle?
Good evening, Council, Mayor. Just wanted to come up real quick and first off say thank you to everyone with the season completely over now and meetings back on schedule for the use of the Cushman when we were watering the flowers this year. That made it very convenient, was very easy. So I just wanted to tell everybody thank you. Looking forward to next year, just as an FYI. I am working with the school, with the FFA, to get them to grow the flowers locally here and hopefully get some more buy-in and interest when it comes to the volunteer base of watering. So again, just wanted to say thanks for the use of the Cushman.
All right. Thank you. Next up, we got our nuisance update. Who'd like to go first?
Yeah, we had a busy week last week, so we didn't get a whole lot done on the nuisance side of things, but we did have court on 2 cases on Thursday. One was a Buttshaw residence, and that's in the 100 block 10th Street Northwest. We got a court order to clean up that. The homeowner was given 7 days to get that cleaned up after court, and I saw he was out there working on it, so I'm not sure how much that we'll have to do there, but if it's not cleaned up at the end of the 7 days, we'll go in there. And then we also got a court order for can I not think of his name? Don Vosberg property at 700 block 1st Street Northwest. Court order cleanup was issued, just given 7 days. He had been working on it. I don't know if he still is. We are limited in some of the scope that we can do there. It has to go back to what the original notice was for. So I know he moved some of the vehicles and got them registered, but there's still some there that are not. So those would be the ones we would go in and take care of. There's still many nuisances that we wrote a couple weeks ago. There are time frames coming up, so we'll be issuing municipals as needed there. And that's all I got for nuisances.
I have a question for you. When you say take care of, what are you going to do to take care of?
If it's vehicles, like I know there's still a truck there that hasn't been moved and not licensed, we will tow it out of there.
Okay.
It'll go over to Dumont Auto Parts.
Okay, thanks.
How about the ones that are licensed and haven't been moved for months?
If they're licensed and moved, they, unfortunately, there's not going to be anything we can do with them.
If they're sitting for months, my view is it's just blight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, currently our code says 30 days.
I think we need to change code.
I'm good with that.
How are we going to control the blight when we have vehicles sitting around that aren't being driven?
Again, I don't make the rules.
Right.
I enforce the
I'm
rules.
just making my,
And the same goes with those trailers. They're just sitting there, not moving.
Well, he did move a lot of them. I know that because we have chased them around the property for months now, and not trying to stick up for them, but some of them were moved. I know that. We went to court on that. And that's why I said we are limited in scope.
The biggest complaint I've ever heard is, I don't know if he brings in hay or straw or something, and there's a lot of mice in around it.
Yep.
So anyway, the people in the neighborhood complain about mice.
Yep. We'll do as much as we can. We want to get that done. So.
See, what is that zoned? I mean, is it,
I believe it's R2, Jim.
okay.
It's R2 on that side.
And if I'm just spitballing, if he put up a fence that you couldn't see all the stuff, is that take care of it?
We've had that discussion with him about putting screening up as a great alternative for him. We did that for a person down in the southeast that unfortunately, once the fence goes up, then they really let it go. So
Well,
I
yeah.
don't know, but yes, there's, it would take care of some issues for sure, but he just refuses to do
Okay.
that.
I was just curious.
Yeah, I would definitely like to see screening there, but.
Thank you.
I have some questions. This is for both of you guys. The furniture behind the Coonley Apartments, what's gonna happen to that? It's been going on 2 weeks now, chair, mattress, that kind of stuff. The garbage men don't take it.
No, they don't. A couple weeks ago, I sent him stuff because there was a bunch of loose garbage in there. They went through and they
did
cleaned
clean it
that
up. I
up.
appreciate that.
And then, now I saw, today was it today? I took pictures yesterday or today and saw all the mattresses and the bed frame and a few other stuff. And I sent that to him today, so,
Okay, thank you.
yeah.
And then 10th place, you guys probably know exactly who I'm talking about. 10th place and First Street Northwest.
I'm getting ready to talk about that.
Awesome. I was just wondering if we have an ordinance about, how long can you have a garage sale?
Yeah, it's in my report.
Thank you.
I got one question. Have any residents said anything? I know the road construction's been kind of a ongoing thing over here to the east. I know that street right off of Highway 3 to the north there, they got a lot of vehicles parked on the road. I noticed a couple people were having like troubles to get through there and stuff. Has anybody said anything at all?
Highway 3, where?
Well, it'd be just east of McDonald's.
Curb and gutter.
Yeah, they're doing the curb and gutter there to first be the blocks. I know it's done, but a lot of people took that side street because to get to their residence. I didn't know if anybody was saying anything about that.
I haven't heard
Okay,
anything.
that's good.
Got anything?
No news is good news, so appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Morrison. Mr. Tar.
So similar to the chief, last couple of weeks, we've got a lot of projects at the end of things getting tidied up, and then we got a couple starting. So we've been real busy with some city projects. However, the nuisance enforcement I've been part of included a mowing infraction for somebody. It had a court appearance last week for 202 3rd Avenue Northeast. It was very brief as this was set for district court regarding a 657A process. The court was continued again due to the court-appointed attorney advocate for the property owner who is currently in prison, not making contact yet with each other. So they're working on that. I'm anticipating that will be done as it was continued till Thursday, October 31st. I don't know if the person that's in prison was in solitary or some incident or something happened to where they couldn't have visitors or something, but by law, I think they have to be able to have legal counsel visits. So anyway, there is a judge that's assisting with that, and I think that'll happen. Also served a 10-day notice related to nuisance and conflicts with zoning by having an ongoing garage sale at 103 10th Place Northwest. We believe this is classified, basically an ongoing thing like that. Our opinion is it classifies as a retail, which is not permitted in the R2 zoning district. But however, I am going to be recommending in the near future that we take a look at, adding some ordinance language just pertaining to things like this, and have some discussions, maybe run it by P&Z to see what their thoughts are as well, because I have heard a number of complaints, and it not just there. There's one other one in town, but that one is not as obvious because First Street Northwest is kind of a main thoroughfare for the high school and things of that nature, so we'll be treating everybody the same, however, but they did, I had to serve the, apparently it's a contract sale, so we did the deed holder, the person that bought it on contract, and then the tenant. So all three of those people got served regarding this matter, and they had 10 days from the date of service, which will be next week sometime. If they do not comply, then I'll go ahead and write a citation on that and get that ball going, because the actual contract holder owner, from my understanding, when he was served, agreed that that shouldn't be going on there, and it's his house. So we'll just have to do what we do on that end of things. But other than that, any other questions pertaining to the nuisance stuff?
I have a question. Is there anything you can do if, like, the Coonley Hotel has a cockroach problem
Yeah, that's a hard one. And yes, there's basically sending a notice to the property owners, or the property owner and the management firm, and let them aware of the problem. However, the argument in courts regarding cockroaches, bed bugs, and things of that nature, you can send the notice. The thing of it is at the time most of these tenants rent, there typically isn't. There's not supposed to be, otherwise they shouldn't rent it. The courts look at this really oddly, and I think City of Des Moines got sued once upon a time, interjecting maybe too much. But I definitely sent them a notice to make them aware of it and say, I want to see receipts from Orkin or something of that nature, especially for cockroaches. But the landlord, it's hard because neither one of them can prove to me, the landlord can't prove to me that it's not his fault, but then he can also pass blame on the tenant, because the tenant could pass blame that they were here, were they not here. That's the hard part with those. So, but yeah, definitely, I can definitely take down, I need someone to fill out a form in order to do that. And if they just fill out that form, that way they can go to court with me if that comes up, that'd be great. And then I can go ahead and send the notice and make things happen pretty quick after that. I would think, though, with this management company here, like Mark and I have had some success with a phone call. Sometimes that helps, and sometimes it doesn't, but it sure does seem that we have reoccurring problems there constantly still, which is kind of a letdown in my opinion.
Well, if you haven't done so, I think it would be good to make a phone call as soon as possible.
Okay, that'd be great. Do we have any proof, do you know, or whoever has the
I
concern or
can
complaint?
put you in touch with the person.
That'd be great. If they can take some pictures for me, that speaks volumes. That way I can just send it on to the management firm, but it's also nice for the file.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Okay, so I have a really weird, thinking outside the box, thinking about the hay that's being hauled in and stored. Couldn't that be kind of considered agricultural? And we don't do farming in town? I don't know, it's just kind of,
It's definitely, that place is non-conforming, and it's been non-conforming for many, many years. Some things have gotten by, some things haven't. So I would have to I guess what I would do is get a legal advice from an attorney and say, how should we handle something like this? Because we will have a legal battle with that person, so.
Well, you said that was R2?
It is R2,
Because, for years and years, probably before zoning, it was a lumberyard.
correct. That's right.
And I think that would have been, when did zoning, the current zoning, was that in early 70s or something like that? So,
Yes, many, many years.
and so I don't know if part of that, this grandfather in business, even though it's not a lumberyard
Right.
now, but,
Yeah,
Just
that one's always
FYI.
been tricky, so.
yeah.
Any other
But
calls?
then it was Midcom Computers then.
Right, yeah.
So,
Yeah. So it's been business
Right.
pretty much all along until, I think, Midcom moved out north, whenever that was.
Yeah, there's still a big LP tank, right, bulk LP tank in the middle of that thing that needs removed, and the property owner's aware of it. I think he has tried to have some discussions to get it removed, and I think he probably has those discussions right up till he sees the price tag of what the crane's gonna cost to haul it out of there, so. But at some point, I don't know. Like I said, it's just getting legal advice.
Any purchasers and questions for Mr. Tar? Not hearing anything?
Okay?
Barry scratching his
Thanks,
head,
Doug.
so.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you. Move on to our next item is the update on speeding concerns on 6th Street Southwest. To Mr. Mark.
Yeah, I was just gonna give a quick update that we do have the speed trailer down there, hopefully getting some data collected, that way we can have it for you for the next meeting. And then we've also been looking at other alternatives of what we could do down there, reaching out to other communities, kind of seeing what they've been doing for the similar concerns, so. That's all.
Has the person who's been complaining said anything?
Yeah,
Oh, really?
they were not, they apparently did not wish their name was used in the meeting, and so they were very upset about that.
Oh, oh.
But I thought we were giving their voice.
I did too, yeah. And, well, they had the opportunity of showing up, getting on Zoom, all sorts of stuff. I mean, if it means that much, then show up.
Right.
I did.
Yep. Any other calls for or questions for Mark on the
Speeding?
speeding consider at this point? Just kind of get some data on the trailer and see what we got there. All right, thank you. Next item is the, I gotta say this now. Habitat for Humanity lot. Mr. Dunt.
Thank you. So, Melissa from Habitat for Humanity asked me if the city, in prior conversations, they had an interest in selling the lot to the city because they can't get any applicants interested enough to put together a project. They've owned it for a number of years, and they were willing to sell it for the assessed value, which I think was $4,000 or $5,000. Now she said they're willing to sell it to the city for $1 if we're interested. And so on the one hand, if the city did choose to accept that, $1 plus we pay for closing costs, which, I would imagine would be $1,000 or around there. If you recall, it's at 521 First Street Northeast, and then right across 6th Avenue to the north is a corner lot that the city owns that we've given an option to Soyland Homes on. In previous conversations with Soyland Homes, they are interested in building on that lot on 6th Avenue that they have an option on, and they, in the past, have expressed interest in building one on this Habitat lot should the city ever acquire it. Now, yeah, it would be a nice project if 2 Soyland homes were built right there. It would revitalize the neighborhood. It would look nice. But the question is, will that ever come to fruition? I don't know. They did, last time I talked to them, which has probably been 5 months ago, they indicated that Hampton is on their priority, is one of the next communities they want to go to. So this would give us a second lot to give them an option on, but again, no guarantees. But they just haven't had any applicants pursue it, and they're tired of paying someone to mow it. They're going backwards, so food for thought. Any comments, questions?
Yeah, I, since about 2002, when I got on the city council, there was a house fire there, and they tore the house down and left those steps there. And then there's a grove of real dumpy-looking trees there. And forever, since 2002, I've said maybe if we got rid of those stairs and grubbed out those trees, it would be a nice-looking lot, a little bit more eye appeal. So if you're looking at a lot and you think, oh, geez, there's a dumpy set of stairs there and that little patch of trees and underbrush, it'd be nice if you just had it all cleaned up and looked like a real nice lot. I don't think it would be that much effort to do that.
We're already in it for a new sidewalk,
Yeah, so clean it up.
but we shouldn't be in the real estate business. We got enough empty properties the way it is.
Yeah, and we're looking to acquire more through 657A. But, yeah, it's just, any other thoughts on that?
Well, it would make sense if we're going to do anything for that lot, to get that lot. If that would increase our chances with Soyland, I guess maybe talk with Soyland too, but like I said, having 2 lots right there, I think that would be, I guess,
Yeah.
more incentive for Soyland to build, being right across the street from each other. And what it'll do for the neighborhood, like you mentioned, I think would be good.
I could reach out to Soyland and just get an update. Hey, are you getting closer or what? So,
and for $1,000, that lot would be cheaper than half of these 657 homes we've been dealing with. We've probably dumped tens of thousands of dollars into these 657 homes. And we still have a junky house sitting on there that we gotta pay to burn down or pay to tear down. So $1,000 isn't too bad. And I think if they clean that lot up and make it look nice, then you have one house here and a chance for maybe somebody to put another. It's a huge lot. Man, you'd have a nice house and a big garage and a lot of property tax and all sorts of stuff.
So would Soyland purchase the lot from us, or will we have to donate it?
No, what they do is we acquire it, and then once we have ownership, we give them an option on it, an option to build and buy. Yeah, so they would retain the option.
Like Pat said, $1,000 isn't much, but would you wait till next year so we can budget for it, or?
Yeah, if, we could do that if Habitat is patient and willing to do that, which they've been patient this long, I don't imagine it would hurt.
Yep. Now they got snow removal.
Can we get the tree board to plant trees on some of these empty lots?
Well, on those, you don't know where the house is gonna sit, so you'd hate to plant trees and have to move them. They're not fond of moving trees, I can tell you that, because we're gonna be talking about that soon with the skate park relocation, but hard to tell where any new construction will actually sit on the property.
I'd like to get an update from Soyland.
Yeah, I can
and
do that.
kinda Make a
Yeah.
decision based on that, but I think it would be much cheaper for them to build two houses right across the street from
Right.
each other.
Yeah.
They could even go up at the same time.
Yeah,
Interest rates came down a little bit, that might help too.
Yeah.
okay, I'll do that.
All right. Thank you. Any other questions? We'll move on. Next item is the rec complex, the sports complex for soccer fields. And we had an inquiry on that, so.
Yeah.
Mr. Dunn?
So Jerry had forwarded me an email where a person with the soccer board had contacted Jerry, kind of wanting an update because one of the fathers of the children in our soccer lives, I think, in Sheffield, and Sheffield's talking about maybe doing some soccer fields. And so I just said, try to give Jerry an update and the rest of you. So kind of an update of the history of this is, if you recall, a number of years ago, I think 2020, we had a cost estimate of around $8 million for a rec complex to build ball diamonds, football fields, soccer fields, parking lots, things like that. And of course, that was a huge number. And, since then, we've had other issues. And so last year, in 2023, I think we all can agree that soccer is the sport that has the most pressure on them. They're outgrowing the East Park and things like that. So in talking with our engineering firm who designed that original plan, I asked them to scale that back so that it would just have a few soccer fields and then a gravel parking lot that would be put out at the surrounding the Maytag property on land that currently is owned by the Center One Foundation, which they would be willing to donate to the city if we ever did a project like that. So they scaled down the project to a few soccer fields and a gravel parking lot, and the grading and seeding and making sure water runs away came to between $500,000 and $600,000, and that was then we've got inflation added in. I don't know what I did ask a contractor to give me a budget number on that after I got that estimate, and he never got back to me. So that's kind of where that stood. And
What year was that? Excuse me.
it was just last year,
was last year,
2023.
okay.
Yeah. And then, of course, if you remember last spring, the legislature focused on property tax reform. And now we're hearing them say they're going to do meaningful property tax reform in this upcoming session. So I don't know what that means. It doesn't sound good. So when we look at a project like this, where we're trying to maintain the services and the infrastructure that we have, it kind of gives you pause to think about taking on something like that in that environment. And also we have the pharmacy properties, which is in my preliminary conversations, which hopefully we'll hear hopefully at the next workshop from ISG, but we're looking at hundreds of thousands of dollars on the pharmacy to get that just structurally sound and demolish the rear one-story portions. So we're looking at some big expenditures, and so that's kind of the update that I have. It doesn't help soccer, when you got all these other things, vying for funds, it doesn't help them much. So that's kind of an update. Jerry, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, here's where I am. This person was talking about going to Sukups and seeing if they wouldn't help build a soccer complex in Sheffield. And I thought, oh my God, that's such a loss for us, because they have tournaments, and if we had this sports rec center for all of the teams, I think it would be a big boom for Hampton. It would just really be a positive thing for us. However, I did reach out, I responded back to this person and said, I think we should bring all the Hampton youth sports together and form a committee and form a nonprofit organization and start applying for grants and seeing what we can find. I've got one here that you can get up to $50,000. And I asked him to please come to the workshop because we were going to talk about it. And I'm sad that nobody's here. So I just don't know how much energy or interest to put into this if they're not willing to put forth the effort as well. So I hate to see Sheffield get a sports complex and, then it would be, the point would be moot for us to build one. So we would lose that big opportunity, I think, as far as tax dollars coming into Hampton. But we also need help. We need cooperation.
Right.
But Jerry, just to piggyback on what you're saying, as I was on a committee, like a finance committee for that Hampton Rec Complex, and we had met in November in 2018, and we put together a list of 32 different grants and financial opportunities, which this would still be applicable.
Yeah.
You'd have to update, but there's a lot of grants out
Plenty
there,
out
but
there.
it's a matter of getting the people that are interested in doing the work to make the contacts and do all that.
I do have a question for you, Ron. Is there a way we can use the city's nonprofit? Remember when I wrote for the Barkema grant for the dog park to see if, and I had to list it under the city for
That's what
something.
we were, that's what we would.
Is that something
do.
that we could do?
Yeah,
Run it through the city?
yeah, I think the city could be the administrative agent.
There you go. That's what I was looking for. Yeah, okay.
I've got a question too. That individual we are paying that yearly fee for grants, do they assist for nonprofit or is it just for,
We're not,
Talking like NIACOG?
no, that guy that,
Matt at PFM?
Yes.
That's not for grants.
okay,
No, he does just financial modeling for,
Okay.
for like debt service and things like that. Yeah,
Okay.
not grants.
If we're talking about
Put our
money,
heads together.
I've got a couple questions and they're not on the agenda.
Yeah, so there are questions not related to the rec complex?
Right,
Okay, well, we can visit afterwards.
Yeah.
sure.
Okay.
I think I just wanted to add, there seems a lot of interest on this complex when there's a need. Okay, soccer's having an issue, we need a need. If baseball has an issue, they want to get it done. Everyone wants to get it done, but then when the rubber meets the road, there's nobody there. And, and it's like, I'd love to have one in town, but, with all the stuff that we got going on, and the revenue changes, what takes high priority? Do we want to rec sitting down out there not being used, or I'm just kind of using being the devil's advocates there,
Yeah,
because
I agree.
it's come up how many times, and then it dies, and then it comes up, and then it dies, and if we're gonna get serious about it, then we're gonna find the money.
Yeah, and we did a survey on this, we sent that survey out, and everybody wanted one, but nobody wanted to pay for it. How
Right.
bad do you want it if you had to pay for it yourself? Well, a little wedge like that.
Yeah, would you be willing to assist, groundskeeping, volunteer? Got
I
nothing.
would think if we could pull together and at least write for some grants, we could get money to start with. Maybe starting at that small scale for the soccer fields.
Yeah, a lot of times it's timing on things, a good salesman, and sometimes it takes 6 to 7 asks before the sale. But like, when is soccer over now season? Have they finished their
I
season?
don't think so.
I think it might be a time, because isn't like Nathan Prowley and his wife in charge of the soccer program here? Because I can talk with Nathan, because it might be once the soccer season's over, before it gets too far beyond the season, is let's get their organizing committee together, and maybe Jerry and I or whoever, we can meet and have some.
Jocelyn's
still
Yeah,
the
okay,
board
yeah.
president.
We can maybe just get together, at least informally, and say, hey, what do you want to do?
And I would also encourage, when you have these conversations, encourage citizens to contact their legislators and to tell them that quality of life projects are important to rural Iowa. And I know that I've heard state legislators who are adamant about property tax reform. One of the things that they do not like are large public quality of life projects, community centers, rec complexes. They think they're a waste of taxpayer money. And so, they're entitled to their opinion. And so these types of projects need private support, financial support. So, but also, it doesn't hurt to contact your legislators and encourage them to leave local control at the local level.
Is that Jocelyn stock? Okay.
And I'm still not convinced they are gonna leave alone the local option sales tax.
No, they've talked about trying to tweak that too.
Yeah.
To get it in the control of the state.
Yeah, and then we lose,
You lose control.
yeah.
All right, so any more on the rec complex? Sounds like there's some work to be, preliminary work to be done, so we can work on that. We'll go on to the next item, is review the recommendation for staff for the skate park relocation. Mr. Dunt? do you have
Yes,
some
thank you,
information
Mayor. So I handed out this aerial photo with red lines showing approximate where we're proposing the skate park pad to be placed. This is on First Street Northeast, just north of the trail. This is land that the city owns. And as you can see on that aerial, there's been some trees planted by the tree board. Doug has worked with a fellow local guy who can move the trees and as soon as next week. If this is okay with the council, this location, and this is approximately 50 by 80, is the size of the pad that the features would go on. Doug, is the plan to do this next spring, the actual pad? Yes. Okay, so the trees would be moved this fall yet, and then the pad would be done next spring.
Are they gonna move the trees to the west or just move them to a different property?
No, they intend to keep them on this property, or maybe even slightly south onto the Conservation's Trail land, but right near there.
Thank you.
How big would the pad be again? I didn't catch
50
that.
by 80.
I still am concerned about the house right there
Well,
and the noise level and,
So, I know Dick for sure has been in communication with that property owner multiple times. And in fact, last time Doug and I were out there, they were out there and Dick was there looking at trees and he was communicating with them, in Spanish. So they, to my knowledge, they haven't, given any resistance.
So if nobody uses a skateboard park, can we convert it to pickleball later? Because, I mean, at the League of Cities, that was all I heard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Pickleball this and pickleball that, and it's on the move, and,
yep.
and,
It's coming to a city soon to near you so as
Right.
well, so.
Well, it's not too late to
it's here.
switch gears. We could
It's
just make that pickleball instead of skate park.
No, I think we need to have the skate park back.
I think I've had a few people mention it to me, or we're getting our skate park back, and some people want to do new features, and I go, well, it's gonna be the same stuff you got, so if you want it or you don't.
Come off the downtown sidewalks.
Yeah.
no.
I know the pickleball's picking up too, because since we put them nets out, I've seen a lot more people out there using
Yeah,
them,
the lights
because
are
they
on
don't have to bring
early
their
in the
own
morning.
nets, so it's coming. Bill will be looking for you to get on the league soon.
That's all I
All
have
right,
on that.
so any other, are we good? Everybody's kind of over, good? We finally get the skate park back, get it put in. And I don't think anything's set in stone. If it doesn't work out, then we might be looking at
Yeah, I mean,
pickleball.
the things are movable,
never
not
know.
like they're drilled in the ground or anything, so.
Right, so I'd say we move ahead with that and get that going, the fall part, and then the next spring, get the pad up. And I'm not gonna buy a skateboard, I'll tell you that right now. So it's too old, too late for me. So, okay, so we'll move ahead forward to that. Thank you. Next item is the Iowa Rural Housing Readiness. These are big words. Readiness Assessment Grant processor, Mr. Dunn.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is the grant that we applied for, Rural Housing Needs Assessment Grant. We were awarded that along with maybe 6 or 7 other communities and then a couple county departments. So this is $20,000 grant, $10,000 local match. The grant funds must be used to fulfill the process of a housing assessment workshop, which is put on through Iowa State University Office of Extension and Outreach for the Iowa Rural Housing Assessment Readiness. So one of the first steps is I will hear from Iowa State University Extension, their contact. We'll work with the communities in setting up this workshop. And it'll work with, we'll have a local committee. So that's the beginning. The first step is actually the grant agreement. We have to sign this and get this back to them. And so if the consensus is okay for me to sign this, otherwise I can put it on the council agenda for Thursday. It's up to you guys.
So I guess I'm not following the money, you might say. So we get this grant and then we just give it all to Iowa State?
It's a
or-
reimbursement.
Okay.
And so we'll pay, I'm not sure if they'll bill us up front or portion up front or whatever, but, so Iowa State University gets paid for this assessment process. And this takes months, maybe even up to a year, I'm not sure. They'll work with the city, with the committee on what ordinances we have that are related to housing, and we'll look through them and determine, do some of them restrict housing? Are they too restrictive? Things like that. But anyway, so we pay, that's an expense that is eligible to be reimbursed, so we pay Iowa State University, we get reimbursed for that. In the end, after we're done paying Iowa State University, whatever we have left over, we can put towards housing initiatives or programs that were determined through this process. So we don't know what's going to be determined, but there'll be a set of priorities set up and, come up with some type of program or initiative that the remaining funds will go towards.
So what they could do is they could say, well, okay, we need housing here or there, they could actually probably tell us, why don't you buy the lot up where the invisible stairs are and the house, from Habitat for Humanity and buy that.
Very well, it could be, something
And we
like
could
that.
get that money from that.
Yeah, okay, good example. Yeah.
Is Iowa State the only one who does this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep,
They got the market cornered.
yeah. But this particular grant, the reason that I pursued this is because of my conversations with a developer, who is developing in rural Iowa, in small communities. And in my conversations with him, he said, have you had the rural housing assessment process completed? And I said, no, we haven't. And he said, well, to be honest with you, we won't even consider a town that has not gone through that process. So that led me to pursue this process. So at least once we get this done, then I can get back to having conversations with him.
Right. And this is like, their focus is smaller rural towns, not like when we went to League of Cities and had the Iowa City Library tell us how we ought to run our library. I mean, it's nice to see that they're focusing on small towns under a certain population.
That's correct, yeah.
Good.
Okay, that's all I have.
All right.
Ron, can you give us an update Thursday on the engineers' progress on the bridges?
Yeah. Yep.
All right, that brings us to the end of our agenda, and I just want to flow this around, everybody just kind of take note, this is Thursday or Wednesday. I'd like to get some people out there to see what's going on in our town that's coming through town, so. Otherwise, if we haven't had anything else, then we're gonna go ahead and adjourn this workshop. Thank you.